Akron 911.
Somebody just rolled up the street and a car pulled in my next door neighbor's driveway, and somebody started shooting the boy in the car, and he is dead.
I just heard gunshots and somebody sped away in a car.
What kind of car?
I think it's a black SUV.
How many rounds did you hear?
We heard about 7 rounds. Some skinny, dark-skinned boy, he jumped out the car. You guys, please just come on.
Police raced to the crime scene right away and discovered that the victim's cousin was the sole survivor there.
Yo, who is that? Who is?
Oh, that's my cousin.
What's his
That's
name?
my cousin. His name is Noah Kenny.
What's her name, boss?
Jeffrey.
Yo, what does this car look like?
I couldn't see the car, bro. This is exactly what happened. Yeah. As soon as we pull in the driveway, he opened the door. 2 dudes come running from the back.
What they look like?
They were black. They start shooting the car up, and he got in and tried to pull off, but obviously he was shot, so the car went out of control.
As investigators rushed against the clock, a terrifying CCTV clip surfaced, showing a young man exiting his vehicle and shooting at Noah Kinney, who was frantically attempting to flee the barrage of bullets. However, identifying him would be the true mystery that would test the police's patience and reveal shocking information. Just after 11 p.m. on January 8, 2020, police arrived in the driveway of a house in Akron, Ohio, following a flurry of frantic 911 calls that flooded the Akron police station. This would develop into an inquiry with a lot of unsolved problems and startling findings.
Keep your hands up, man. You ain't got no weapons on you?
No, sir.
Turn around real quick. Stay right here. Listen, you two sit down right here.
Me?
Right here, both of you. Sit down.
And we come across one male. We weren't sure if he was a suspect or if he actually was a victim. There is a vehicle up in the front deck of a house. There's another officer at the vehicle, and he can clearly see that the victim is deceased.
All right, we have one male that's unresponsive in the car.
The victim, he was slumped over, and I could see blood coming out of the left side of his body.
Noah's cousin, Jeffrey Law II, was the first person the police saw at the site after they discovered him heavily bleeding from a gunshot wound. Since he had been in a car with Noah, 20 at the time of the shooting, the police asked him to describe what he had seen just before the deadly assault.
So what happened?
2 people in all black came out shooting at the car. Then they ran back over there, and I seen the car skirt off, but I wasn't paying attention.
What kind of car was it, man?
I wasn't paying attention. I don't know.
Jeffrey kept telling us that there was 2 shooters. They were dressed in all black, and he thought that they had been ambushed.
What does the car look like, man?
I didn't know. I don't know.
You didn't see a car or nothing?
They came running out from the back.
Who did?
I don't know.
Oh, they came running out from the back?
Yes.
But there were just a lot of holes in his story.
Before heading to the scene, Jeffrey claimed to have received an enigmatic call. Detectives wondered if the call, which was placed just before the incident, had set the stage for catastrophe.
Jeffrey wasn't really sure why Noah would even pull up at this address. He said he had never been to that address before, but it just didn't quite add up.
Even though his relative was involved in the accident, Jeffrey seems reluctant to give a LaShire account of what happened, despite being grazed by a bullet and requiring stitches.
A bullet wound, so you have a laceration from a strip in there, you need stitches. I have to tell you, buddy. And that's why I'm asking if their name that you follow. You definitely need something. You definitely have stitches. You definitely probably going to make sure you're updated on your tennis shots because we're 25. But you need to be around somebody right now. So I need you to call somebody so you can do this all, okay?
He gave a hazy account of the shooter, mentioning a person who had approached and shot Noah, but he was unable to explain how Noah had come to this strange address. Investigators arrived and began meticulously searching over the murder scene, as Jeffrey was having his wound evaluated because of his contradictory claims, which prompted severe questions that there was much more going on than what was initially apparent.
We arrived on scene, myself and Detective Kennedy. There was a vehicle crashed into the next door neighbor's house.
It looks like a through and through the armpit both sides.
When I first noticed the victim, he looked like he was in his younger 20s. It's kind of a sad situation, but working in the Midnight Major Crimes Unit, we're used to seeing younger folks that are victims of homicides.
We have a lot of questions that we want answered, but we really didn't have much.
Jeffrey was inside of the vehicle when the shooting took place. We didn't know anyone else to be a witness, and we had no other testimony to go by, so his word is the only thing that we had at that time.
He was first questioned by cops about the area and their reason for being there late at night.
Sorry, man. Who do you know at this house?
At this house?
Yeah, they pulled into.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. He was pulling up here. I don't know.
Oh, he was just pulling up.
Yeah,
you were just in the car.
Yeah, he was. I was just with him.
Yeah.
I don't know who he was pulling up on.
I got you. So you guys pulled into the driveway. What happened?
This is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He got a call. Somebody told him to come over here, wherever. So boom. As soon as we pull in the driveway, he opened the door. Two dudes come running from the back.
What they look like?
They had on all black and they had hoods on.
Do you know if they were white or black? Anything?
They had to be black.
Well, did you see them though?
No.
Okay.
But they were black. They started shooting the car up, and he got in and tried to pull off, but obviously he was shot, so the car went out of control. But whoever did it ran this way over here, and there was a car parked right here, and they jumped in and sped off, but I couldn't tell.
So it was parked over here?
Yes, but I couldn't tell
what kind of car it was.
Right.
Do you know if it was a car, SUV, van, anything?
No, it was definitely like a car, but it wasn't no truck or nothing.
Jeffrey claimed that the two black men were involved in the shooting. However, the evidence found at the scene refuted this claim.
I swear he said they came from behind this house, but it doesn't make
sense. I'm seeing the car though. Look at the car.
Yeah.
We have some tire marks that are in the driveway because there was some snow on the ground. Plus, there was broken glass where we're pretty sure the incident happened. It was pretty clear that what Jeff was telling us wasn't what happened based off the evidence that we could see at the time. You know, he's not telling us the truth, and we can't understand why. He said that the two suspects came from the backyard. We checked that area. There was a fence that surrounded the back of the house, and that was locked. And there was snow on the ground, and there was no footprints in the snow leading from the backyard or leading away from the scene.
The police began to notice evidence of the violence as they examined the site, suggesting that Noah's account had some sinister truths that were just waiting to be revealed.
After we interviewed him, we noticed in the driveway all the shell casings were in one spot, so it didn't appear that the shooter was moving while they were shooting.
We did recover 7 .40 caliber shell casings. They were all the same caliber, and they were all the same manufacturer. At that point, we could assume that there is only one shooter. We searched the area and never located a gun.
The police immediately focused on the surveillance cameras in the driveway of the residence where the crime was committed, which belonged to the resident, later identified as Lashaya Jordan. They also questioned Lashaya to learn more about her version of events, even though the evidence revealed a graphic story, but the truth remained hidden.
Tell me what happened tonight that you know of.
Okay, I was in my bedroom and I heard shots and I thought maybe I was tripping. And then after probably the 5th, 6th one, my kids ran in the room crying. And I look out the window and I just see fire coming.
When you say fire?
It was flashes.
Flashes from a gun?
Right.
How many of them did you see? Did you see different ones or just one? Or you weren't able to make out people that were shooting, or you just seen the flashes?
I just seen the flashes. Yeah. And then I ran down here. I grabbed my phone out of my room first, then I ran down here and I heard someone pulling out. I run to the side door, and when I came out, the car was just flying down the street.
Did you tell what kind of car, color, anything like that?
It was a dark color car.
Okay.
Then I run down the driveway and I see the guy that was out there telling me, call 911, call 911. And then I came back in. Well, before I came back in, I dropped my phone on the ground. I grabbed it, came back in, and...
Do you know why they would pull up you guys' driveway or anything like that? Or...
I have no idea.
Have you guys been having issues with anybody, nothing like that?
No.
Investigators started to think Lashaya had a link to the scene. and that she could know more than she was revealing when they were left wondering why these strangers had even been in her driveway in the first place, and more significantly, why they felt so at ease stopping there.
We did ask Lashaya if she knew who the people were in the driveway. She claimed that she had no idea. But, you know, it just didn't make sense why somebody would pull into a random driveway and the people that live there claim they didn't know them.
Being able to make contact with the tenants of the house was very important for us. And then for them to have actually had the video cameras recording is even a bigger win for us.
When investigators eventually obtained the CCTV footage, they hoped it would be the breakthrough in this twisted mystery at Lashaya's.
Detective Kennedy and I were watching the actual video, and we did notice a vehicle back into the driveway and park, and we had noticed this at the crime scene because all the shell casings were in one spot in the driveway.
That's what I'm saying. His bullet hole is here. He didn't get shot from the back. It's here.
And it's running in the driveway for minutes with its headlights on, and this is at a little after 11 o'clock at night.
And then we watched our victim, Noah Kinney's vehicle, back into the driveway and park.
You see Noah get out of the Jeep, and he gets into the passenger door of the other vehicle, but never shuts the door. His right leg was actually still hanging out, and it was almost immediately you see his legs start kicking. It was clear that there was a struggle going on inside the vehicle. Noah quickly gets out, and you see what appears to be glass shattering, like there's shots being fired from inside the vehicle, and then you see the suspect get out of his vehicle and continue firing at Noah, shattering the back window of the Jeep.
In a startling turn of events, the killer was captured on camera at the very moment that everyone had been anticipating.
Noah jumps in the passenger side of the Jeep over Jeffrey into the driver's seat and pulls out of the driveway, and that's when he crashes, and then you see the suspect vehicle pull out of the driveway and leave the scene.
The footage revealed a dark-colored car.
Shortly after the gunfire, the video showed a dark-colored vehicle that was thought to be a Buick driving away.
After watching the video over and over and over again, we can see that based off the shape of the taillights and the headlights, the suspect's vehicle was more than likely going to be a Buick, and we put out pretty quick to patrol to keep an eye out for a Buick vehicle.
Although the suspect's car contained important evidence, the hazy video of the shooter of Noah left everyone wondering who it was. Nevertheless, the investigators weren't prepared to give up and continued to look into every aspect.
When Detective Kennedy and I looked at the video a little closer, we noticed that the suspect was a large frame black male with a beard. So it's pretty huge for us to have actual footage of the shooting. We very rarely are able to see the actual shooter taking the shots.
The police then focused on Jeffrey once more as time was running out, and the pressure increased with each passing second, bringing the detectives closer to a truth concealed in the shadows of the crime. Despite the growing evidence and the urgency of the situation, Jeffrey continued to withhold important details while he was being treated for his grazed wound. Jeffrey's hesitation only increased police skepticism.
Video also pokes some holes into Jeffrey's story as well. What he was telling us about people coming out of the backyard and shooting, that wasn't true. Them running down the street and getting another car, that wasn't true. So we have a lot of questions that we were going to have to ask Jeff. It was clear that he was holding back on what he was telling us. What was he hiding? Why would Jeff and Noah Kinney be in the driveway? Were they into something they shouldn't have been?
He reiterated that Lashaya had called Noah and sent them to that residence, but his contradictory account left more questions than answers. Even though detectives were dubious of Jeffrey's story, they knew they had to keep looking for evidence to get justice for Noah. So they turned to the CCTV footage from Lashaya's house, focusing on the moments immediately following the shooting. He also claimed to have grabbed Noah's phone after the shooting, but the lock device sealed no information, further frustrating investigators. The weight of the evidence started to build, and with every inconsistency in Jeffrey's story, the police grew more skeptical.
We see Lashea, she exits her side door, she bends over, and she picks an object up in the driveway and carries that object inside her house.
We kept zooming in, trying to figure out what Lashaya picked up. It could have been drugs, it could have been a gun, it could have been a bundle of money. That made us have so many more questions. Why would she be lying to us? We didn't know if she was involved, if she knew who the suspect was, if she knew who the victim was, or possibly if she was the one that set this whole thing up.
The police began to question whether Lashaya was the wolf they had been searching for all along, disguised as a sheep, when they saw her on camera picking up something from the crime scene.
At this point in our investigation, we had a witness, Jeffrey. He was not telling us the entire truth of what had happened. And we had Lashaya, who was not forthcoming at all. Why would she lie about picking an object up in the driveway unless she was involved some way? This really added to the mystery of the whole case.
Detectives wasted no time in questioning Lashaya, knowing that the truth may come out at any time.
Lashea, she had told us that it was her cell phone that she had dropped when she went out to check on Jeff. We actually looked to see if we could see her. She exited the house and she did not, but she swore up and down it was her cell phone and she dropped it.
Oh.
It was important for us to try to figure out what that object was, if it meant anything at all.
I'm just gonna let you know I got some questions for you. Okay. You need to be 100% honest with me, because I know a lot more than you think I know. All right?
So I was very irritated going into the interview. Why would she lie about picking an object up in the driveway? It seemed like she was holding some keys to this puzzle for us to try to figure out.
She eventually broke under the pressure and identified the item she had picked up at the scene.
You know you've seen the video, but I can tell you right now that that video is going to go to the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and they're going to enhance that video, where I'm going to be able to tell exactly what you had in your hand.
She knew that the video that we had was from her own cameras. I figured her knowing that up front, she might come clean.
So enhance it. Is it going to show that you had a gun in your hand? Is it going to show that you had a wad of cash in your hand?
No, it was weed. You can enhance it. It was weed that I picked up. It was a bag. There was no weapon. There was no cell phone. None of that. It was weed that I picked up off that ground. It was weed.
The investigator discovered her solution. Lashaya made the decision to adopt a more somber stance in order to expose the truth. And what she disclosed next would completely reverse the course of the investigation.
You need to be 100% honest with me, because I'm really pissed off about this right now.
I'm being honest that what it was. It was weed.
Why did you pick it up?
I don't know. My mind was just...
Did you know what it was when you picked it up?
I didn't.
She did say that it was a bag of marijuana that she had picked up. That never made sense to me, because why would she lie about marijuana possession? A minor misdemeanor.
Lashaya spoke with tears in her eyes, but her innocent-looking countenance looked more like a mask. More significantly, the detective questioned whether the victim's driver was the culprit for a reason.
I want you to think real hard about this next question I ask you before you answer it. Am I going to link you to them in any way? The ones that were in the driveway. Am I going to link you to them?
I don't believe none of them.
Because
This is honest God truth. I wish I knew more.
Lashea said she didn't know who it was in her driveway, didn't know the suspects, didn't know the cars, but it just didn't make sense why they would be in her driveway. At that point, I definitely knew she still wasn't being honest. So I pressed her pretty hard.
I could tell you that I don't believe that, because that car pulls in your driveway and sits there for 6 minutes with its headlights on. Listen to me for a second. 6 minutes with its headlights on before the victim pulls up and sits there for another minute. people don't feel comfortable doing that to some random person's house unless they know them. Are they using your driveway because you're paying you guys money to use their driveway to do drug deals?
No.
Anything?
No. No. I don't know who it was. I don't know those two guys. I don't know none of them.
Following her disclosure of the item she had picked up, she was accused of tampering with evidence.
I mean, it's not uncommon for people to lie to us. It happens all the time. We're used to it, but we don't like it. Noah Kinney, the victim, this is somebody's son, somebody's brother or cousin or a baby's father. We're trying to bring justice to a family and get a killer off the street. So it irritates us quite a bit when people lie to us about something as serious as this.
Living with his foster mother, Joanne Chiricos, Noah Kinney was a young parent with aspirations and obligations.
I started to get calls from his friends. You know, I think something happened to Noah. They said, Noah was shot, Noah was shot. I think he's dead, I think he's dead. And I kept telling them, stop saying that. You guys always have your drama going on. I just didn't want to believe it.
In addition, he was the loving father of a young daughter and had been seeing Honesty Palmer.
Noah was the absolute best father I could have ever imagined for our daughter. He lit up every single room that he walked into. The night that Noah was murdered, we were texting and I asked him, I said, hey, can you come over? And he's like, yeah, I'll be over there in about 15 minutes. You know, I just got to drop my friend off. And so I waited and I waited on him to come. And when I didn't get a message back from him, I just had this really bad feeling, because when Noah tells you he's on his way, he's on his way. And I got that phone call. They told me that he was shot.
When LaShire's actions sparked additional inquiries, the police attempted to piece together what actually transpired at the scene on the day of the crime. They then turned their attention back to Jeffrey, Noah's cousin, who had been involved in legal issues unrelated to the shooting. As the investigation progressed, Jeffrey was confronted with unexpected questions while in custody, including more questions about Noah's last moments.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about your buddy, okay? So, this is things that happened since I talked to you the other day. I'm going to read you your rights again. I'm not charging you with anything for this, but just because you're in custody and you're not free to leave because of your other charges, you have the right to remain silent, you understand that?
Y'all get me out of the hellhole first, and I can find out other I'm trying to get out, bro. I just seen my cousin die. I'm going crazy in jail, bro.
I understand, but that's not a warrant. I don't have anything to control over that. I'm trying to solve who did this to Noah, you know?
Jeff was pretty key in this case because he definitely cared about Noah. We do have homicide cases where witnesses can care less about the victim, but he wanted to find out what happened to Noah and why it happened.
Jeffrey brought up a friend named Excel Trippy Smith during this interrogation, who said that he and Noah had visited Excel's home prior to the shooting.
Now, is Trippy friends of both yours, or is it his friend?
Yeah, that's both of us.
How long have you known him?
A long time. We left from over at Trippy's house.
Yeah, that's Excel.
That's
Trippy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We left him over there. He called Noah while we was on the way to wherever we was going on Noah.
Okay.
He called Noah's phone and said something to him. I don't know what he said.
After you left his house, you called Noah's phone?
Yeah. That just seemed kind of weird because Noah didn't tell me what Excel was saying.
Okay. Was he acting weird, Trippy?
He wasn't acting weird, but it was just weird that he talked to him and he tell me that.
Jeffrey believed that Excel might have been involved in some way, implying that he had contacted Noah after they left his house, raising suspicions about their connection. However, he regarded it odd that Noah had not disclosed any information regarding that conversation.
He seemed so persistent that Excel was involved. You know, that's making us think, well, maybe this Excel has something to do with it.
That's all I've been thinking about it, that Trippy situation. That's literally the last person he talked to. Yeah, I think it was like, I don't know, I think it was shut up.
The detectives didn't waste any time. Excel Smith was located and interviewed in the hopes that he may shed light on the tumultuous events. To Noah's demise, Lashaya...
Just so you know, you're not in any trouble, nothing like that. But we do ask that you be completely honest with us, okay? You know, I got some suspicions that Noah and Jeff were probably involved in some stuff that they shouldn't have been, maybe dealing drugs or something like that. If that's the case and you know about it, or if you do that kind of stuff, just be completely honest with it. I'm not looking to charge you with anything like that, but something like that could help lead to what happened to Noah. So, can you tell me what you know about what happened on that night? Because I know that they were at your house earlier that day.
Excel sat with his hands in his pockets and hardly moved during the questioning, giving the impression that he was reluctant to divulge anything he knew.
They came chill with me, like, you know, when they chilling, they said, leave, come back. I was expecting some nighttime.
Do you know about what time they left that night?
10:30.
Did Noah or Jeff, did they make any mention about anywhere they were going to go, anyone they were going to talk to, or any business that they were going to do?
At first, you could tell he was kind of holding back. We figured if we kept pressing him, we would probably get more information from him that might help us solve this case.
After establishing this detail, the police asked a vital question to ascertain whether they were on the right track or if this was just another failed attempt. Excel acknowledged that Noah had previously met a man named Melvin, who was in his 20s. Everything hinged on this moment, Lashaya, and they had to learn the truth.
Do you know what Melvin looks like?
Big.
Like how big?
You got some weight on the brain, though. 275 pounds.
Okay. Do you know about how old he is? Okay.
In a startling turn of events, the investigators eventually discovered a reality that would fundamentally alter their perception of the entire investigation. And this was the terrifying moment when everything came together. Although Melvin's personal attributes and the Buick he drove matched the surveillance film, it was still unclear if the pieces would be sufficient to bring about justice.
Is Melvin involved in anything? Do you happen to have a number for Melvin? Phone number? And I just want to make sure that you didn't text, Noah and say, hey, go meet this guy or whatever.
When you say Melvin's your people, like, are you related to him, or is just a dude someone who knows? What's your involvement with him?
I'm never
Gotcha. Okay. And when you introduced him to Noah, what was the purpose of that? Okay. That was just for weed or whatever?
Do you know what he drives?
When he told us that, it was like kind of like an aha moment, because we're like, man, that matches the make of the vehicle that we're looking at.
No one ever imagined that Excel's interview would lead them directly to the murderer, even exposing the suspect's photo.
But once he gave us the name Melvin, we started plugging it into our database, tried to figure out what Melvin's last name was. Had a couple Melvins pop up. Some of them didn't match the description of our suspect. So then I'm thinking Excel told us they worked together at a nursing home a few years back. So I'm like, this is a long shot. Let's see what I can come up with. So I pull up this nursing home's Facebook page, and I start scrolling, and I'm scrolling, and I see the name of an employee of the month, Melvin Terry, and it's got a photo of the guy. Guy's smiling. He's a light-skinned black male, heavier set with a beard. He matches the description from the video. It matches what Excel said. So now I'm starting to put the pieces together, and I'm like, this is our guy.
When authorities discovered Noah's phone at the crime site, the case took a crucial turn. There were secrets on this phone that might alter everything.
We gained access to Noah Kinney's cell phone, and we noticed that Melvin and Noah Kinney had sent text messages to each other just minutes before Noah Kinney was murdered.
One of the text messages was from Melvin to Noah to meet him at that address in that driveway. So Noah Kinney and Melvin Terry's cell phones both put them at the scene when the actual homicide took place. At that point, we're thinking this has got to be our guy.
Melvin was directly involved in whatever had happened that night. According to texts exchanged between Noah and Melvin just before the shooting. Suddenly, Melvin was more than just a name. He was a crucial participant in this haunting game. This revelation caused the investigation to shift its focus to Melvin, and more significantly, the Buick he drove.
Our next piece of evidence that we were searching for was the suspect's vehicle. We had noticed that the vehicle had OnStar. We were able to track its GPS location to a body shop in Akron, not far from our police.
An important turning point in the inquiry occurred when the police located Melvin's Buick.
It had bullet holes in it, and the passenger window also had bullet holes in it. There were still bullet holes in the metal behind the door cover, and there was also blood on the inside passenger door of Melvin Terry's car. We did swab the blood. Those blood swabs went to BCI, our Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and we did get a hit for Noah Kinney's blood. So we knew at that point that Noah Kinney was shot in Melvin Terry's car because his blood was in the car.
The detectives found strong evidence that might link Melvin to the horrific crime, making the sight of that car essential because it included evidence that connected Melvin to Noah's untimely death. Every drop of blood told the story, and in this case, it was one of betrayal and loss. The body shop owner assisted the investigation by providing an invoice for the repairs made to Melvin's car. This document was more than just paperwork. It contained the name and phone number of Melvin Terry, who had brought the car in and paid for the repairs with his father, Melvin Terry Sr. More suspicion was aroused by the fact that these repairs were made shortly after the murder.
Flip through it now, okay? Here's the first tab. Ready?
We went to conduct a photo array to show the owner to see if he could pick the suspect out.
I'm almost positive that's him. That it's the beard that that I noticed. It's the full grown, came down and up, it just blended in.
Well, the percentage you would say out of 0 to 100, how do you feel?
I'd go like 87.
He was able to pick Melvin Terry's father out of the photo array.
So I just have a couple questions for you real quick. So is this the guy that brought the car in? And this is the guy that asked you to fix the car?
Yeah.
Okay. And then did he actually say what happened to the car?
He never mentioned anything about it.
Okay.
He never even said he got shot at or he shot at something. He just said what the cost of it was my person.
Okay.
So that's when I,
And he's the same guy that paid you half up front and then came back and he did the remainder half?
Yeah. We
were able to rule out Melvin Terry's dad as a suspect. The only thing that we were able to determine was that, he was trying to have the vehicle repaired after the fact.
The pieces of this sinister puzzle were finally coming together as investigators discovered that Terry had fired 12 shots at Noah Kinney as he fled to his car in the driveway. Kinney was hit 3 times and died from his wounds. With Melvin's involvement becoming more and more obvious, the detectives were ready to take their findings to the next level. They had the car, the blood, and the connection to Melvin through Excel's testimony. The detectives realized that justice for Noah Ken hinged on their ability to find the truth behind this horrific act of violence, so they brought Terry in for questioning. Investigators discovered a link between Noah and Melvin, indicating that illicit activity was taking place shortly before Noah was shot, and it appears that the deaths of Noah Kinney were related to a drug deal that had gone horribly wrong. Noah got an enigmatic call that suggested he had been tricked into a risky position that was probably connected to drugs. Detectives were perplexed by Jeffrey's contradictory accounts and wondered if he had knowledge of or been involved in anything shady. To make things even more complicated, A neighbor picked up a bag of marijuana that had fallen in her driveway during the commotion, further compounding the problem. The notion that the night's activities involved narcotics, the shootings extreme violence. Given the growing evidence against Melvin Terry, the police acquired an arrest warrant for him after 12 rounds were fired at Noah, suggesting a purpose driven by wrath, betrayal, or desperation, all too usual in the drug world.
After we had signed a warrant for Melvin Terry, his lawyer came into the police station and turned Mr. Terry in to us. So our next step was to interview him and to get his side of the story. But he decided not to make any statements at that time.
His silence and refusal to communicate with the investigators only served to further elucidate his motivations. The blood found in his car, the shell casings at the crime scene, the supporting testimony from Excel, and Jeffrey Melvin were all used to build a strong case. Melvin was charged with 2 counts of murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. Melvin Sr. was charged with tampering with evidence and later pled guilty to obstruction of justice, which resulted in a year of probation. As the case progressed, it became evident that the motive for Noah's murder might have been connected to a botched drug deal. After months of preparation, the trial got underway, and the prosecution made a strong case against Melvin. Following a week-long trial, the jury returned a verdict after witnesses testified regarding the chronology of events, including the texts that were exchanged between Noah and Melvin just prior to the deadly gunshot. Melvin Terry was convicted of several offenses. Melvin was given a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 18 years in prison for 2 counts of murder with firearm specifications, 2 counts of felonious assault with firearm specifications, and tampering with evidence. The fact that the murder charges were classified as special felonies highlighted the seriousness of the crime.
We were very happy to be able to get a conviction for that suspect for murder. Being able to relay that to the family is rewarding in itself.
Noah was 20 years old when it happened. He had a young daughter. He had a girlfriend. He had a foster mother that cared for him dearly. This whole case was a tragedy. None of this needed to happen.
Despite the tragic ending of Noah Kenny's narrative, there was more to it than that.
Right after he got shot was the COVID time when everything was shut down. So it was very hard. I had to move from my house where I was living with Noah because I just couldn't stand all the memories of him. You know, of course you do all those what ifs. What if I didn't let him have the car? What if I had been a little stronger about him and who he was hanging out with? But, you know, at the time he's 20 years old. That's the part of it where I just think, you know, why did it have to go down like that? The whole thing was just so sad to me. So you get justice, but it didn't feel very satisfying, really. It doesn't bring Noah back to the whole situation. Just so unnecessary.
The judge's last sentence didn't simply mark the conclusion of the trial. It also sparked a discussion about the decisions we make and their effects. Our deepest condolences to Noah Kinney's family and loved ones during this extremely difficult time. His story serves as a tragic reminder of how fragile life can be. We hope that this video has provided some clarity and insight into the events that transpired. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.